Howdy there, folks. In this video, I'm actually in my room, so because I have my film bookshelf, a bunch of different books about films in general, plus some further down, just keeps on going. More books and figurines. But I figured I got two screenplays recently, the Universal screenplays, and I figured I'd actually kind of delve into them to kind of give an idea of what they are like, because it was really hard for me to find anything on it online, so let's dig into it. First up, we have the Creature from the Black Lagoon original shooting script, and the Abbott and Costello Hold That Ghost. So given that the Hold the Ghost one is quite thick in comparison, as you can see there, I figured I'll go into the Creature one first. Now, the Creature, they're both in paperback. The Creature one, you've got that as your front, which is quite nice, you know, your theatrical poster. And on the back, you've got some extra shots, as well as just some details about the film, in a way. But this is basically everything that science fiction fans have ever needed to know about the quintessential 50s monster movie. Rare stills, production background by Tom Weaver, quotes from the film's stars and behind-the-scenes personnel, an interview with the creature himself, press book reproduction, plus a copy of the rarest of the film's many early drafts and screenplays. So it's not a finalized version of the film. I doubt you could read this and compare it to the film, like, as you're watching it kind of deal. But let's go into it. It is about... trying to find a page number. It's a lot of pages. It is a hell of a lot of pages. It doesn't have page numbers. Wonderful. It's like 200, less than 300 pages. I think the Hold the Ghost one is like 400 to 500 pages. I will be honest, it does seem somewhat cheap in its printing in a way. You've got your opening page. The colours are going to vary on how it's taken through the camera, so I apologise for that. This is the first edition from 1992. Yeah, that doesn't seem... Yeah, I don't take that for granted. It just looks like a photocopy. But yeah, you got a poster, you've got some other credits and whatever magical publications you've got. It actually just says Magic Image Publication, so it's actually a thing. But you can also get Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, The Ghost of Frankenstein, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, The Mummy, Dracula, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, and This Island Earth. From a various plus London After Midnight, A Blind Bargain, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So there's a lot of different versions, but even like I want to get Bride of Frankenstein, but it's technically known as like Frankenstein Returns because it's not the finalized script from when the bride actually appears. So yeah, but still you've got some cool images. Again, it has a soft look to it. It's got a credit to William Allen and Jack Cavan, the creators of the Black Lagoon. Interesting. Yeah, and then you basically get all of this kind of detail about the film, about the inspiration. I hope that this kind of picks up somewhat on camera so you can get kind of an idea. I do believe it talks about, so you got script to censorship, you got cast, variety of stuff, including images, of course. Of course, it does talk about actress/sketch artist Millicent Patrick, so if you're concerned that it won't talk about her, given how she basically designed the creature, despite, you know, there being a lot of... Well, this actually says Bud Westmore at work on the Gilman head. I'm pretty sure he did the, like, actual molding. She just did she painted it, like, basically created the design of it. But someone else, I can never remember who it was that actually took the credit for the creature, which I think is a good thing that I forget who it was, because they don't deserve the credit. But yeah, a lot of great behind-the-scenes stuff to do with Rico Browning and Bud Westmore and Millicent Patrick. It doesn't mention it, or at least not that I can see, about the guy who took the credit for it. But yeah, a lot of interviews and stuff. So this goes on for quite a while. You got some more stills and whatever. A lot of the images you could easily probably find online, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to have them in a book. And it just keeps on going. A lot of stuff in here. More interviews, and you get reviews. You got the reception. You've got talking about the sequels. Yeah, there's a hell of a lot here. So hopefully the angle of the camera is decent enough if you're interested in buying something like this. So this is a lot of detail. It gets, yeah, almost fully in, and yeah, then it kind of ends there. Then it comes with the script. So the script that follows is an original Arthur Ross draft, dated March 1953. It is a veritable missing link script, partially spanning the gap between the early Maurice Zim treatment, synopsized on pages 11 to 12, and the final Harry J. Essex screenplay in Creature from the Black Lagoon's Evolution. Ross's other writing credits include Star Spangled Rhythm, Okinawa, The Stand at Apache River, The Creature Walks Among Us, The 30-Foot Bride of Candy Rock, Three Worlds of Gulliver, The Great Race, and Brubaker. The Ross script is followed herein by a step outline of proposed changes prepared by Essex and dated June 8th, 1953. I apologize for my dog barking in the background. So yeah, it's credited as Black Lagoon in the second draft, and you basically get it in this kind of a print. So yeah, it's got a lot of edits to it and everything. It's not a perfect looking screenplay, like it's clearly an old-fashioned photocopy of a typewritten screenplay, which I think is kind of nice in a way. Like, it doesn't emphasize, like, oh, we, looked at the whole thing and just reprinted, like, we typed it all up from scratch and did it all again. In this case, it's just basically just it just looks like a photocopy, which I think is kind of nice in a way, like, gives it more of a kind of authentic feel to it, which is fine. I mean, obviously, you could probably argue, it should be better condition and whatever, but it really keeps on going. There's so many pages of it. Keeps on going. It's basically like a good third of the book is screenplay. And then it kind of has this whole entire, and that's all just details about how characters move and all that kind of stuff. My God. And then, yeah. So then you get to the final section. Now, of course, you'd think that the screenplay would be the final section, but it isn't. But yeah, so you get the end of the screenplay, you get a nice image of the creature again, and then on the following pages we present the original press book, which was distributed to theatre owners for publicity purposes. In which case, you got a showman's manual, you get a piece in the newspaper, talking about both the 3D and 2D campaigns. And yeah, it has a lot of details as well in this case, talking about the creature, talking about the Universal monsters. Has a bunch of like lobby cards and postcards and just all this kind of posters and stuff. I actually have this poster behind the camera signed by Rico Browning. And yeah, this is just like a bunch of like memorabilia, more posters and such. Lobby cards, door panels, all the different signs that they had for the 3D effects, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, just a final picture there of the creature with Julie Adams. And that's your book. So, for the most part, I'd say this is really good. It's a great, I'm just going to make sure I have enough room there. A great document of basically the whole entire film, from its origins of writing it all the way to making the film and releasing the film. It kind of sucks in some way that it's not a final draft version of the script, but it's kind of cute in a way to be able to compare it to what the film became to some degree, like originally starting as Black Lagoon and then evolving into The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is arguably a much more, mouthful of a, title, sometimes just titled Creature from the Black Lagoon, not The Creature from the Black Lagoon. But at the same time, it being Creature from Black Lagoon, a lot more iconic to a lot more people. So, for a very small size, it's still like A4, but it's thin enough. It's really easy to pick up and hold and carry. Very easy to breeze through it as well. And yeah, so definitely worth getting if you're... There's a lot of these for, again, multiple of the films. So if you're interested in any of these, I'd suggest it, because they all basically have the same format as I'll show you with Hold That Ghost. So I bought the Creature one for about $20 to $30 on Amazon. I only got Hold That Ghost, which is a lot thicker, because A, it's my favourite of the Abbott and Costello films, but it was like $6-7 at the time. It was on a sale. It was like, fuck yeah, I'll buy that because it's really cheap. And then the next day after I bought it, the price went back up to like $40. This is Australian dollars in this case. So Hold That Ghost, much thicker book. Same kind of ideal, which I think is kind of cute because on the back it says, in quotes, Hold That Ghost is kind of a masterpiece. Ryan Gosling. So, for many fans, Hold That Ghost is on par with the boys' magnum opus, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Although it was only their second starring film, Hold That Ghost cemented the team's standing as movie stars and great comedians, and set the stage for that later classic film. But the original version of Hold That Ghost differs from the one we know today. Now Ron Palumbo, with the same thorough, immersive approach he took with his Magic Image book about Buck Private, gives us the best opportunity to compare the two. So again, not the finalized screenplay, which can disappoint some people, but at the same time, there's a lot of like improv and stuff that the characters and the actors actually had, so not too disappointing in that regard. But yeah, so just like before, you've got the film to the great teams Bud and Lou and Bob and Fred. This is copyright 2018. See, this one's a lot more detailed in terms of it actually has a table of contents from all 400 odd pages of it, going from Abbott and Costello at Universal, the Ghost Riders, Oh Spooky Joint, Behind the Camera, I Wasn't Cut Out to Be a Glamour Girl, supporting cast, Oh Charlie, the Oh Charlie Routine, the final... Oh Charlie, I remember that. The final shooting script, Hold Back That Ghost, the revision script, the screamiest riot the boys have... screamiest riot the boys have turned in, post-ghost, credits and press book, and bibliography. So, I'll give you a brief demonstration, basically from script, which is a much neater version than the Creature one is. These ones are much neater versions than the originals, but then you do have another old version. God, it really changed. You got all this behind-the-scenes stuff, pages and pages and pages of behind-the-scenes, all these different chapters. Yeah, it's kind of insane, the amount of detail that's in this one. I'd argue this is probably a better version than The Creature, just because of how much extra stuff is in it, but there's a lot of history behind these two and their films. And then you, of course, cut to the screenplay, which... yes, the Oh Charlie Routine. So this is the original screenplay for the Oh Charlie Routine, which is really cute that they have it, hence why it looks a bit more dated, like a photocopy, because it's the actual screenplay. And yeah, then you got the Oh Charlie final shooting script, which it shows you the Oh Charlie, that's cute as well. It's all signed, obviously photocopies as well. But some more. This is the revised final script from 1941. And yeah, then you get the whole script. A lot of a script. A lot of script. This has page numbers and everything. And then, yeah, you get about 110 pages, 130 pages. And then it jumps into more stuff about the making of the film, more script. Actually, this is a whole nother script. That's why there's a lot more to it, because it's a whole... There's so many scripts. More details about the film, and then newer details, then post the film, credits and press book, including posters, and all that jazz. So there's a lot of stuff here as well. It seems like I'm not covering as much of it, but there's just so much in it. and it's basically the same as the creature one as well. They've all got that same formula. And yeah, a lot of different images as well as a bibliography, because it's all referenced. This is like a peer-reviewed source. So yeah, this one is superb. As an overall, the books are really fantastic, and you could get them in hardback as well. I imagine it's just the exact same, just with a cardboard backing, which might make for better mantelpiece items to some degree. I haven't personally read through much of either of the two books. I'm more of the person who would collect the books rather than read them, which is kind of annoying. Nevertheless, great details, well written for what parts that I have actually gone through, and enough variation between the two. Like the creature one is, here's your background, here's a script, and here's post-movie, like all the, you know, promotions and stuff. But then Hold That Ghost is like, oh yeah, let's detail a lot more and go into like Abbott and Costello's career, writing about the film and post the film, and then these iconic scenes, both the original draft and the redone draft, a version of the film, another version of the, like, just all this stuff to it. A lot less press release stuff, but a lot more of everything else, hence why it's doubled the size, because it's doubled the amount of content, basically. So as an overall, I do think these books are quite good. There is a cheapness to them in some degree. I think the creature one in particular has a lot more cheapness to it, which I'd imagine most of the Universal Monsters ones do. But in terms of the Universal Filmscript Series for Abbott and Costello, it has a lot. It's just a lot better, I think, as a design. There's obviously enough of a difference even through this, like saying Universal Filmscript Series Classic Science Fiction Volume 2, whereas this is just Abbott and Costello. They feel like they've got different budgets put into them. Much more care has been put into the Abbott and Costello one to some degree, but at the same time they both have such a great amount of detail that it's hard to criticize them. So yeah, as an overall, I would recommend them, especially if you're into film scripts, if you're into history of films, especially, you know, classic horror, classic comedies, then I definitely check them out. Obviously, there's a whole series you could collect, because they age all the way back from the original Dracula through to, you know, House of Frankenstein. I don't know how many they've made and how many more they will be making, but it pops up in my Amazon every now and again, and I'm like, I'm good. I don't need House of Frankenstein script. Like, I'm good. I consider the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, if that's available. I know there's a Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. I haven't checked for Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein yet. But at the same time, I have the film on DVD. I'm content with that. And if you're content with just having the films, then that's good enough. Like, a lot of them have their own documentaries and stuff, so you don't need all this stuff. But if you like to be well read, if you like to read the scripts, if you like to compare, then go for it. It's totally worth it. Outside of that, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more. This is the only time I've ever talked about film books in particular. Like, I do have these books that I have done a video on, so that might be linked on the screen. But for the most part, I mostly just show off what movies I have and do kind of movie reviews. Not really. It's more or less going into the Blu-rays and checking out what they're like and stuff. So, yeah. I will be doing a collection, as you can kind of see here, for my Universal Monsters, so stay tuned for that eventually. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Adios.